Hey, welcome to Sketch Magazine Podcast. I'm Robert. I'm back with Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Bob. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. It's a beautiful Saturday down here.
Oh, yes. It's
Yep.
pretty nice up here, too. A little cool, but it's pretty nice. Well, before we dive into the meat of this, we're going to go back to digital inks, correct?
You bet.
Yes. And catch you up on a few things. Chris has got his Kickstarter getting ready to wrap up in a few days. So whether this comes out before or after, be sure to go check it out. Freaks and Gods, Volume 2, Number 2. And I got it right this time.
Yes.
Yes, I cheated. I got it open on the other screen.
Well, I see. Well,
yes.
Regularly it was going to just be number 6, but with
Right.
my publisher changing its name and kind of relaunching itself.
Right.
That's why.
So, but that's like legend. Remember, we had that whole conversation about legendary numbers or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that?
Yeah. Legacy. And where do I put it? And now I got it all over the darn place.
Yes. But so check it out. And I'm sure that down the road there'll be another issue. And you were talking about possibly doing something in the same universe, maybe down the road. We're going to twist your arm.
There's no twisting involved on this. It's just a matter of doing it. I did the Tales of the Dark Tunnel Kickstarter, which set up 3 new traveling trio, three new guys, characters, and I'm going to be doing another one. It's just a matter of fleshing out the story and then doing it.
Great.
So yeah,
and May the 2nd. Just what date this 2022 because this will be up forever. Sketch Magazine 47 is going to hit Kickstarter, and this is the first time we've reached out to Kickstarter with Sketch. So by the time this hits, it should be live. So I'll put a link below so you can find it. Go check it out. It's going to be a great issue. Glad to have Sketch back.
Oh yeah, so I'm excited about it.
I am too. So well, they're not here to hear all this stuff. They're here to check out Digital Inking Part 2. So are you ready?
So I hope so. So am I sharing?
You are sharing.
Okay, so let me share my screen. I had to bring if anyone wonders why I'm suddenly now looking over this way, it's because I had to move us so I can see you to the other monitor. So I can share my. No, then I think you got it. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
So this was not the page that we had up last time. Correct. That was this one. But I thought one thing that we didn't do was we didn't talk about bordering, putting the panels in.
Okay.
If you're going to be doing a comic book, you have to do that. Well, I guess you don't have to. Can't think of his name. Who didn't do very much of that.
Yeah. So if you're absolutely new to comics, bordering sort of holds each frame together, and you can use them. I see your artist sort of used them to move the story on this page from left to right, to left, and back to. I love that.
Right.
That is awesome.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do like the top quickly, just so you can see. And then you can just use all that same information to do the rest of it, because this is about inking, but we did skip this, and this is kind of important. Right now you can see that it's selected, and here it is that this page is on this layer. I have it at 50%. Just like in Photoshop or pretty much any program with layers, I'm going to lock that just so I don't goof around. So now anything you try to do on this layer, you can't. As a matter of fact, when you pick a tool, a pen or a brush of any kind, and you go on a locked layer, it does this. So it won't even let you.
Right. Now, I'm looking at this page, Chris, before we dive into the text.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and my history is blue line, and I print borders and stuff.
Right.
And I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh no, his artist drew way above the panel border up there. What's Chris going to do with that?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I opened up just a generic page, and I do have templates saved. We can talk about that maybe in the next one. But I have a template saved that actually has the borders already in there. like it has, I'm sorry, it has guides. So I know where they are. And what I would normally do, let me just do this. I turned off the lock. I'll take the object selection, which is actually M, not M. Yeah. No, it's O. Sorry. And then if you hold Shift and Alt, I'm sorry, Shift, it can constrain the size.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you don't, you know, oh, hey, I must have, oh, right here. Sorry, I lied. I have it checked, keep aspect ratio. So no matter how much I do, it's not going to get thin and squished.
Right.
So you can then size it however you want. Sometimes this penciler, Giuseppe, he will go over the borders too high, like up into here and there. So I have to adjust. And maybe in the past, I've had to like just draw and extend like a little bit of the hand here, or you know, that kind of thing. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that is perfect.
Okay.
Right? So,
but I could just see somebody coming in going, oh, what's he going to do? So that was perfect. That's perfect explanation.
You're right.
You can actually resize the penciled artwork.
Right.
Very simple.
Right.
And then just, you know, ink from there, roll with it.
Just so you know, in case there's people who are like, what do you mean aspect ratio? If I undo this and I undid the lock and I don't hold the shift key, see? Yeah, you don't want that.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Control Z will undo anything you've done. So I will lock it again so that we're not confused. Now then, I got to think of where that is. Yeah, okay, so it's in, I hit U, which is funny. I don't even know what that tool is. I just know the shortcut. It's for tool properties, and within that property, you get like lines, rulers. Okay. This actually creates manga style like speed lines and surprise lines. Same thing with this. I've used this sparingly because that's not the style of book I'm going for.
Right.
But right here is frame border.
Okay.
And the first, you have different sizes. You've got rectangle, you got polygon, you got frame, which is drawn by hand. I don't ever really use those. And then there's these dividers, which we'll talk about in a second. But we start with a frame, just a rectangle.
Okay.
And you go up here, see the tool, how it becomes a plus?
Mm-hmm.
And you draw one giant frame. This is how I do it.
Okay.
Now, if I were to leave this as is, I believe I can ink inside of here, this down here, and the purple is masked, so it'll never go beyond those lines. But I don't do it that way. What I do is, actually, we can do this real quick now that I think about it. This is an easy one to do. You take frame, divide frame border, and I have a gutter that's kind of large. A gutter, if for those who aren't 100% sure, is the space between the panels. That's called a gutter. And what you do is, let me zoom in. This will divide the frame, and you got to think about it, because if I divide this frame this way, it'll divide it all the way to the bottom. But what I want to do is this. And you just click and you drag. If you want it straight, you hold shift.
Oh, okay.
If you want it 100% straight, you hold shift. This one's on an angle. You go like that. Now it's created a new, go this way. Same thing. Now, these are really huge gutters, so I could adjust that if I want.
Okay.
And same thing here. And then the same thing here. Again, if I wanted it straight up and down, hold shift. I'm holding shift right now, and what it does is it goes at the different angles. This is 45, 90, 180, you know what I mean? But I don't want that, so I take my finger off a shift, and you're done.
Okay.
Literally, you could be done at that point. I would probably have adjusted the gutter sizes because I think they're too large. Now, what I do is I go over here and I right-click on this, and I go to Rasterize. And that creates a new rasterized frame layer above it. Okay. And because of how I am, I keep this. I turn it off, and I just keep it in case I need to move the panels around. It's a lot easier on this on that layer. And then in here, what I do is I select white and fill, and I click here, and it fills all that in between, leaving these holes. Here, let me turn everything off so you can see what I mean. See?
Right.
And then with this, I make sure that this layer is like I did in the last video, the monochrome, because I want it to be black or white. I don't want any grays or anything. And then I lock it. So now anything I ink, let me take black so we can see it. Well, I can go right, underneath it, and like this. If I go too far, it doesn't go. This is above it, so it hides all your lines. And then that's why if you ever watch any of my videos on YouTube, the inking videos, this one's going to be coming. This page is actually going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. When I think about it. But what you'll see me do is I go like this and then down. And I'm still drawing a line, and then like this, because I know I'm going to want this area to be filled in black. So if I turn off the frame, it's a closed box, and I can fill it. So, and I noticed that this layer is color, so there we go. But yeah, that right there is how to make use the border tool. One more thing before we go, though. If we go back to this, I don't know why it does that. I lost the outlines on them. But you can take the O tool. I'm sorry, this one right here, which is actually O on the keyboard. And you can select the point, hold shift and select more than one. You can do that and move it over and down. Like see right here, he has this in here. Let me just do one quick thing. You use this tool, correct line Y, add a point. You can add a point there and there and there, and then go back to your, and then you can then put a stroke on that. I should have done that before I did the raster layer, but you get the idea that it's all this point right here. I think anyone coming in here who knows the difference between vector and raster, these are vector. The frames are vector, and then I rasterize them. So, okay, so we got that. Hopefully we're cool with that. Any questions you can comment or.
Okay.
I'm going to close this because I'm working on a slightly older machine, and I'm afraid having two things open at once might be.
Okay.
All right, so here's where we left off last time. We got half man here.
Half man.
Half man. And what I did was I got the brush tool. This layer is turned to monochrome. Because it's monochrome and I have the brush tool, this doesn't give me options for anti-aliasing, but if I went to here, I can't because it's not going to let me do it. It's a different kind of layer. The paper is also a raster layer too. Right now I have it so that any line I draw is going to be black or white. And you can change it to like a softer fuzzy brush. But this is an ink brush, so let's leave it at that.
Right.
Which is good here. Just be aware that if you end up changing layers, that could happen to you. All right, so as you know, every inker, okay, let me back up, Bob. I've seen videos, and I'm sure you have, where people are inking, and I see them draw or ink, and I never see them rotate the page.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, well, doing some traditional inks, I always rotate. I never tape a page down to ink on a table and just ink it. Right. No, I got to have a wrist movement, a flow, especially when you're doing like a brush. Right. Because you're pulling a thin, thick. And I mean, if you're inking hair and you're going, that would be hard. Right. Where if you rotate the figure to get the flow of it, it just makes it feel more natural.
Right. Because I believe that everybody has a certain angle that they, right now I'm going top down. So my natural easier stroke to achieve was this way.
Right.
You know,
okay.
I can also do this way, but it's just natural for me to want to go like this, you know? So this program comes with a very, okay, first of all, I love this program, Clip Studio Paint.
There you go. We hadn't mentioned it yet.
Absolute best. Clip Studio Paint. It's the best. It was the most intuitive program I ever ran into. It's like, clearly they talked to artists, or they were artists when they, you know, who made this. But they have a rotate where you can rotate the canvas as you work.
Okay.
Now, because I just never really know what that tool is here, I usually hold, let me try it. R rotates it. You push the R key, right? And it's like the center of the screen is always the center that it rotates. So if I push down Shift, drag over here, now this will be relatively the center. Okay?
Okay.
But there's a shortcut. There are the plus and minus key on your keyboard will do that. Or what I like is Shift. Oh, wait, let me get out of that tool. Okay, is Shift and the space bar at the same time, and you can rotate.
Oh, okay.
And that goes a whole lot easier because you can move holding the Shift down, push down the, I'm sorry, you can move with the space bar.
Yeah, you can drag it. Okay.
And then hold the Shift down at the same time, and now you can rotate.
Very cool.
And then if you want to get back to, like, real quick, double click. Hold your Shift and your space bar and double click, and it brings you back. If you're using the R key, which is fine too, it's the same thing, double click.
Okay.
And on my pen, I have this button right here, this back one right here, as a double click. Okay. So I just, you know, it's just workflow for me. You know, other people are going to have their own thing. Okay, so we got that. I got the tool. Everything's looking good. I'm at 15. Let's put that at 12. Again, the bracket keys, move that. And I usually start with the eyes. So I'm going to rotate because and again, pressure sensitivity on the Wacom. And he's got some eyelashes there going on, but I think that's meant to be like all evil and stuff.
Right. Some shadowing.
Yeah. The good thing and the bad thing about inking in a program like this is you can get, oh, by the way, zooming. Shift. I'm sorry, not Shift. Why do I keep saying that? Space key and Control, probably Command if you're using a Mac. And then you can drag out, you know, how close you want to get. Problem is the beauty and the curse of digital inking is you can get really close. The beauty of it is now I can do less movements to make this eye, right?
Right.
And I can get it right where I want. But the problem is that when you can get in this close and worry about pixels, you start to worry about pixels. It's like I first tried inking with Adobe Illustrator, and I learned that when you can move and adjust every single line, I moved and adjusted every single line. Took me twice as long to do it, you know, because I was I'm just kind of going around. He's got some. Now here I'm using the pressure sensitivity to my advantage.
Yep.
You know.
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
And then here, one thing with this particular character, half his face is literally a robot. So after I've done this side of the face and I put the robot side in, I actually come in and add what looks like might be shadows. You know. And then fill. Apply to connected pixels only. If
Oh.
you have that unchecked, it'll fill the whole canvas.
Oh no.
So, but when you click that, it will seek out and fill closed areas.
Okay.
That's another point of not confusion, but frustration for a lot of people when they first get the program.
Right.
So
now I'm going to be one of these guys that go,
okay.
But Chris, you added extra lines and you didn't do exactly what the penciler did.
Right. Okay. That is the job of an inker.
There you go.
That is the job of an inker. Right now, as is, this is a pretty nice page, pretty nice character. But as an inker, you're not just tracing it. You're not tracing it. You're embellishing. You're actually using the pencils as a guideline. I've asked Giuseppe, for all sorts of reasons, to keep his stuff a little loose.
Right.
I know my strengths. I ask him to make sure faces look good and that hands are well drawn. Those are my weaknesses. But otherwise, he keeps everything kind of loose. So I can go in and actually, embellish and make the drawing mine based on his.
Right.
So if I turn off the inks, the pencils, I'm sorry, oh yeah, all I gotta do is hit that little eye icon if you didn't know that.
Okay.
And it turns off a layer. See, any of them too. So, but yeah, see right here, this is a good example. I'm glad you brought that up. These lines right here are denoting.
Yes.
He's like, he's really upset. So when I get to these, which is now, I am literally just going to
Oh yeah.
I could have followed them and it would have looked good too, but I'm just,
Right.
Now right here he's got this in here and it looks like it's I think he's trying to get like an old beat up, maybe he was working for a shadow, but I don't really know if I'm going to use it because we have a scar that comes through. Okay, so let me show you a cool feature that I know you're going to love, being a traditional inker, and I loved when I got it. So I'm at a 12 size brush, which means I can get that size line or that size line.
Wow.
So we got a scar here that looks like it's got some stitches. Just kind of following the contour. I'm going to, ooh, that's a mistake. Yeah, because if you do this and hold down, that was, yeah, what does that? There's a tool that, never mind that. That was a mistake. So I'm going to put like stitches in here like this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to come in here and kind of, and then what is great is right now, if I turn off the paper layer, which is white, the ink layer is actually black on transparent.
Yes.
Right. So, if you hold, while you got your brush, if you hold, let me go over here so you can see it. You hold down Alt, you get an eyedropper.
Yes.
And you can select a color. You can also select transparent. And down here, that is selected.
Okay.
The transparent is selected. So you know where I'm going with this, right? You can now get rid of the, so it gives it like this added, but then
and the benefit of going transparent is that you're not using a white, you're not throwing a color on top of that to get rid of it.
Exactly. And
you're
then,
physically erasing that ink off that level.
And the beauty of that, like you said, is when you put a color layer underneath here, you're not going to have white dots all over the place. It's just going to be so. And then you can ink into there, and make that look even, like it's in his eyebrow, and a little bit in here too. Now, remember I said that my I have, okay, if you look at a Wacom stylus, I'm sure other ones are like this too. It's got the two buttons, to Alt.
Okay.
Right? So instead of holding the Alt key to select things, I just hit that. See how it's changing? I just push that button. So now I have that, and then I have, if you watch my YouTube videos, it probably goes by real quick, but that's what I'm doing.
So, and you set that up in what Wacom?
That is set up in Wacom.
Wacom tablet, yes.
Right. Okay. In the Wacom tablet properties, you can select.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much any keystroke. I don't think you can make these buttons like a Q, but like an Alt or a command or a Control. And that is the biggest thing for me, because then you can go back and forth. And when you're coloring, it's really nice too. It's like, oh, I got that area I got to fix. So you grab that color you missed. Okay, so I'm going to change the size of the brush a little bit because I'm going to do some contour. So I just use the bracket keys like that, 17. Kind of like the way he had that. Okay, so right there, I did it. I was going to do it without even talking about it. I don't like this, and I already. What did you notice? I already switched to the back to the. Yes. I'm just going to erase that because I don't like it. Okay, that's his weird little beard. I just did that haphazardly, so I have an idea of where his chin is. That makes sense?
Yes.
Oh, that's too thick. And then I'm going to go back down to 12. And rotate, because that's how I,
More comfortable.
Yeah. So, you know what? I mean, this is going to be funny. I have done traditional inking and this inking for so long. I think, well, I don't know what else to say. Well, that's how you do it. You know what I mean? But
okay, so let's tackle the hair. Are you going to add, when you're looking at those spikes and stuff, are you going to add more flow to it? Or does this character have that look like spiky type hair?
Yes and no. I have discovered, because I've worked with Giuseppe for 14 years on various projects, I have noticed that every character has this hair.
Yes. I have too. I've seen enough of his pencils to go. Everybody has hair gel.
Everyone does that. There's even a couple of times where I've had to go back to previous issues or character studies that he made for me, like with Steve Steff, because Steve Steff, they have like 50s, not a pompadour, but their hair's more curly. And a couple pages they're like this, and I'm like, I gotta go back but we're just gonna stick with this because I honestly don't remember. I would have to go back and look at what kind of hair he has. But I think the other thing is that this character, Half Man, made his appearance in Freaks and Gods under a different penciler.
Oh,
right. So Giuseppe, this is this character's second time that Giuseppe got to draw him. Right. So I think this is how I kept it. We're just going to go with what we have here. So I'm at 12. You know what? I'm sure people will be like, well, where do you start? You start where you want to.
Right.
Although, sidebar, I have tried to do the contours of characters first. Because when you get a whole page of the contours done, there's a mental thing in your head where you're like, wow, I got a lot done. Seriously, it kind of motivated me. Yeah, let's just go with the hair. Now I am doing some line variation as I'm Okay, I don't like those last two, so I'm just going to undo. I don't like that one. That'll be fine. Okay, now here's something kind of neat with the erasing thing. Let's say I went and I did, okay, that's too dark, right?
Okay. Right.
And select the background, the transparent, and you can kind of try to fix it a little bit, put those lines back in,
Right.
or just erase it. It's so freaking cool that's available.
See, and that you just undid a couple lines earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't get to do that in traditional inks. You got to come back with white out and then ink back over that.
Right. You don't get that option. No.
No.
That is why in traditional inking, I would look at a page and I would literally I don't want to say study it, but I would go over all the panels, and think, okay. And whenever it would be time to start inking with that brush, I would hover above the page, not nervous, but knowing that anything can be fixed when you're traditional inking. It's just not as easy,
No, it can be fixed. Shoot, I've been known to totally re-ink another panel and then tape it onto the original board.
I actually had to do that. One of my first jobs inking, I was working for Now Comics, working for the New Adventures of Speed Racer, and a page I got. There's two of them. Okay, a page I got had a penciled board, like a panel cut out from a different page and glued on.
Yep.
And then I had to do something like what you said when I worked for Dark Horse on Angel. I had to do that too, like ink a separate page, and they sent me, they emailed me a new panel, and I had to print it out and
insert it over.
Right.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm not. That's too heavy. Because when I bring the line in from his robot head part, I want the hair to be kind of a little bit over it.
Right.
So
it shows movement.
Right. Because he's also he's also pretty animated in this panel, because he's actually yelling at this particular point of the story. He's upset because he doesn't know why he was brought back to life. He thought it was to get revenge on the traveling trio, the Atom, Steve, Steph, and Bargeist. But I'm not going to tell you what happens, because
don't tell us.
This is issue 8, which is issue 4. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm starting to think some of these lines are, this is good for variation, but you can also go down to another level. Like I went from 12 to 10, and you're like, well, what's the difference? Well, that is a big difference.
Oh yes.
I don't like that. Did you see what happened there? I had 3 lines, 1, 2, 3. I undo, and it took all 3 away.
I seen that.
Like it counted that as one stroke. Yeah, I don't know. I run into that. I don't know what is going on there. I'm just kind of going along with what Giuseppe did, just so we can show process.
No, I like it.
Yeah. I'm going to probably end up inking. Did it again. Did you see that?
I seen it. It erased them all.
It upsets me, because what if I like this one?
Well, you're going to have to redo it.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. So I'm kind of just going with what he has. I don't really, normally I would go through and be like, well, his hair comes through here. So I got to, just so we can get on to something else. Because I just thought of something else that's really important to inking. At least it is to me, or how it used to be. I shouldn't say how it used to be. That's not correct. There's a lot of different styles in comic art, as you know, right? And this style is, I'm inking kind of heavy, more like an 70s, 80s feel. I know you think, that's kind of what I like. But as you know, I've inked dozens of different pencilers, so I can pick the style,
Right.
Speaking of that, dozens of different pencilers and the style. We had talked about how I'm not necessarily following what 100% every line Giuseppe has.
Uh-huh.
Some pencilers I worked for. Like I did that outer space one with the like a generic version of the Guardians of the Galaxy for you. Remember?
Yes.
Pencil by Joel, and I
Yes.
worked. The penciler Mel Ruby was the penciler on the Angel series for Dark Horse back a long time ago. Those guys drew exactly what they wanted.
Yes.
So at that point, I'm not tracing. I'm just making their pencils better.
Yes.
If they had missed a finger, I would have to fix that. If they added a finger, I would have to fix that. That's just what your job is, you know. You're embellishing it. So, but in this case, I'm allowed to kind of do a little bit more with it than
Right.
I would normally for a different penciler. Well, that's not right.
Right.
One thing I think I'm going to get into now is line variation. I see a lot of seen videos in the past where people talk about inking and how they do it this way because it's cool. It looks cool. No, that's not why we do things. Sure, it looks cool, but line variation is what makes a fold look like a fold.
Right.
You know, see, he's got some real good stuff going on in here. It kind of laid it all out for me. Trying to find a good spot to show that. Well, here we go. Right here. So here's a straight line for a fold. So I could just do a straight line like he did, you know. Right. Or I could get darker, a thicker line down in here towards the part of the fabric where it's on his shirt, in the armpit. And when you do it that way, it creates, I'm having a hard time with that. There we go. Now it creates a shadow in there, and all it is a line.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And that is the difference with just tracing over something. Here, there's a shadow down in here. So I'll do that. And then I do, okay, catch up. There we go. I'm just going to do this quickly so you can understand what I'm saying. Did you see that? It did the line instead of the... Okay, so see how thick this line here is? And it's got this shadow right here. You can see, you know, Giuseppe was generally thinking of a shadow on this side, not this side. Well, it might be more up over here because of these shadows. But because this is thick and it's trying to create a shadow, the line is going to be thinner there. Because the light... Now, doesn't this right here seem like it's popping right off his jacket? We got a dark shadow here, a thicker line here. Even though the shadow's there, the thick line still goes past it. Same thing here, and then a thinner line.
Yep, looks good. That's
what is really I'm gonna do it with a 10. Yeah. Your job is to make things look like rocks that are rocks. If they're a fabric, look like fabric. Hair, look like hair. Now, I know that a lot of people nowadays are probably big fans of manga. I am one of them. That's a different style completely. They do a lot of, their figures are, and a lot of the ones I've seen, their figures are pretty linear, but then there's all this beautiful rendering of inks and cross hatchings, and it's just really beautiful.
Yes.
But this traditional style is, you know, but yeah, you can take that and add this to it, and you know, look at that fold. Holy mackerel.
That's pretty nice.
Right. See? And yeah, I never thought when I was a kid I would get all excited about folds.
Folds and cloths. Let me ask you.
Yes.
Half man here.
Yes.
So you've worked real hard on the human side of the face.
Yes.
Adding shadows, depths, feathering.
You want me to do this?
The metallic side. How do you,
Okay.
How do you I mean, this is a great piece because not only do you do flesh and folds, but now you got this hard metallic surface.
Yeah.
How do you make it look? You got to be able to make it look different because it is a different surface. It's going to reflect different. It's going to be colored different. How does the two work? In ink.
Here we go.
How do you put it
inks?
off in
Well,
ink?
if you were doing traditional, I would switch to a crow quill brush, but here I have made one. If you watch that last video, I talk about the differences in, there it is, in the lines and how I, with the G pen, I think it's the G pen. Let me check that quickly. Okay. Let me check this one. Little tip, if you have this subtool open for the G pen and you grab the crow quill, it goes to that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to close it again. That's cool. These both will work. These will create slightly different shape and line. It just looks harsher. You'll also see I have
sharper. Looks like sharper. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, because this is just how I do it, you use U, which is the figure tool. You get these options over here. See?
Yes.
So even if you wanted, say the ruler, and you click this tool over here, it's going to be, the ruler will be up here, but all of these options in the subtool will be there. And if you can't, again, I'm sorry, you know what, we never mentioned this. If you can't find any of these palettes, it's up in window, and then you find them in here.
Okay.
And you can just open them. So I like to start because I'm just so particular that if I was inking this guy traditionally, I would get out my French curves and a straight edge, and I would do these, and I would do that because that's just how I am. But Manga Studio, I've been using it so long before it changed to Clip. Clip Studio has these tools in here: a straight edge, straight edge, okay, curve, point, hold, drag, and then do your curve. And this polygon, which is just keep going, and then when you're done, you can close it or hit enter. Oh, and as you see, I have sharp corners selected. What I'm going to do is, I don't like 10. Let's try 8. I'm going to just put this in, get a little closer here. Oh, that's still kind of thick because it doesn't look. Well, I can fix that. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I got this nice harsh line. Let me grab my brush, make sure that does come past, because I just like how that looks. So I go back to this tool. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. And then I take the curve. Now, this tool is fantastic. You can't make a complete circle with it. And the ending and starting points is amazing too. That's going to blow your mind, Bob. But let's just do this first. When you use this tool, the curve tool, you don't click and release, because then you get this weird, because what it's trying to do is it's created 2 points in that one spot, and now you're trying to make a curve out of it. You click, hold, and drag to where you want to go. Normally what I do is just mentally, I click, kind of outline, imagine that curve.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then you can thicken it up. I could have made it thicker, but I also like the idea by doing it this way, it gives it thickness, as if you used a crow quill on a straight edge or something, or a French curve.
Yes. You can even do that with a tech pen, like a micron, and just hit it twice. Move your French curve in it twice. So yeah, you're getting a lot of that. We're saying crow quill because you and I, we've been inking for a long time. A lot of these guys are coming from microns and tech pens, and you're getting that look. It's fantastic.
I'm going to give this just a little curve.
No curve in there.
Okay, so that looks, it's not thick enough for me. But this particular program has a really awesome feature. So you do a selection. I'm going to make a quick selection here. I use selections a lot. That is selected. You can go to, let me see, is it filter? Line correct, adjust line thickness. And I can make that as thick as I
Holy smokes, I love it.
I know, that is just so great. You know, that looks good.
Yeah.
And then I did about a 2 point and it lined up there. I'm going to do a quick little sidebar because this is super exciting about all of these tools, your straight, your curve, your polygon, even your continuous curve, right? They all have these things called starting points and ending.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me, why am I not seeing all that? Let me just drop that down. There we go. Okay. So a starting point, and this is like a change weather to make start of drawing gradually thinner to the degree of thickness. Let me just do it.
Oh, that is cool.
Okay, that is a good taper, but it's because it's a 6. So let's put that at 15. And it's going to start at the starting of it. So yeah, you can do an ending point.
Oh, so it's got a brush or a quill. It has a quill feel to it.
It does.
Starting off thin, you push down, you get thicker, and then it comes out and thins back out. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Do you know what I also use this for? I use this a lot for speed lines. Oh, they punched them. You know what I mean? Boom, I got a speed line.
Right.
Someone throws a punch or throws something.
Yep.
That works. Let me turn that off. Otherwise, sometime tonight I'll be inking going, what the heck? It works with the straight one as well. Starting point.
Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, wow.
And you can do the ending as well.
Yep.
But what's really neat is you can change this ending to say 600 and the beginning point to 200. And you can even see the preview there.
Oh.
And this is true for all of these 3 tools. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to this. I'm going to change this. And I just want these to be, that's too thick. Let's try this. I picked polygon because you can keep going. Let's say you did that and that's not right. I wanted it with the polygon tool. You can go back to it and see how the cursor turns to a minus.
Yes.
I can remove that point and move it before I finish the line.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Wow.
It's really cool. I believe I'm going to have to double check this. I don't think Half Man has this much detail in his eye, on his nose. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of more just like
just a triangle.
You know what? Just for the sake of our, let's just do it. I mean, I'm here, right?
Right.
So people can see how to, and because you were saying you wanted.
Wow, that just shows it's so slick.
It is. It's super. Yeah, I just love it. Okay, so I got that, and he's got some like, I don't know, shine, scuff, because Half Man is metal, but he's not made of chrome. It's just like, so it's scuffed, and he's been through battles and stuff. So if you go to your brush pen, sorry, I call them pen, but I use it as a brush because that's where I have it.
Right.
Go to your G, I got 8, and I'm going to give it like a scuff look. Down here, I'll show you how to do a quick shine, how I do it. So remember last week we made the crosshatched brush?
Yes.
I am not going to, I still think that's too thick. Let's try 7. I don't like that curve on that one. Yeah, you remember those days when you're inking and you're like, oh, I wish I could just undo that one line. Now you
have
can.
to get the white out and the brush and
right. See, it looks a little scuffed here.
Yes.
This one's also giving some how it denotes how it's coming down.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. What am I going to do for the shadow? One thing I learned early on inking, I remember talking to an editor. I was at a convention. This is probably back in like early 1990s. Yeah, that actually existed. And I did this one time on inks for a shadow under a nose.
Yeah.
Didn't and like the editor said, it looks like they got hair under their nose. You got to close that off. So ever since then, I have always just done something like this and gave that so it doesn't look like hair, because now I have that line that closes it in.
Yeah.
Okay, so there. If I turn off the pencils,
wow,
it's not skin. Nope. It's not. It's very dirty, slick. It's rough. See, now that I'm looking at this, let's show you. Let's do some shadows here.
Another thing I want to show is that if you look at the solid face that you've got there, on the outside, you've got a thicker line, and you're using thinner lines on the inside. That also helps shows depth. No, like around the outside of the whole face.
Right here?
Yeah, that's thicker than the lines that you used on the inside of it.
Right.
Which helps shows mass and adds depth to it also.
Exactly. You're right. Mass, shape, form, shadow, lights hitting things. I mean, you don't have to, I have seen some artists talk like you have to be a physicist and understand all these hyper concepts. No, just take a towel and throw it over a chair and open your window and just look and go, oh, okay, that's how that works. That's kind of all you got to do. I think that I could probably get like some variation in here a little bit more to show that there's because I like things so I don't want to say pristine, but I like lines that are nice and clean, so I can go back to the curve tool.
And the thing, if you're doing that, then would that be like also adding a light source to it? Then,
yeah,
you're going to be thinking about a light source where that face is going to be lit. Then the lines would be a little thinner, and then it would help show the shadowing of the face.
I have looked at his pencils, and 90% of the time when Giuseppe is penciling and I'm inking, I always have a generic light source of like here, like an even with a little bit, you know what I mean? There's only like specific times. Like there's a issue where that's going to be coming out. That's in the Kickstarter where they're using a blowtorch to zap and blow away all this stuff from this submarine. So the light source is the tip of that blowtorch, and then everything was light in front of that and black behind it. But in this case, I see shadows here, here, here. So I think the light is somewhere here. That is why I just put these shadows here where the face and the metal touch, not on top. Same thing with this. Right.
Cool.
And this is like a texture to show, now that I'm thinking about it, I can take the background, the transparent color, and just really jazz it up a little bit more, like reverse. I mean, it's so subtle, but when it's, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, that looks nice.
That is nice. All right, so the metal. Let's do his neck quickly, and I'll show you a trick that I've developed. I don't know, how people are gonna. I think that neck is a little too far in, so I'm just gonna drop it down here. I think this part he has drawn is wrong. I think it needs to be higher, and I think it's gonna need to come down and then like this. I got to check my reference pictures. I may have to quickly pencil that later, but for now we're just gonna do this.
Okay.
I hope that made sense.
Yes.
I am going to just close this off to show you my trick. Okay, that's not how I would normally do it. I'm just showing you for the trick.
Right.
Okay, so I've taken my selection tool, my auto select. I think these are a closed line. We're about to find out. Okay, it grabbed this area because it was closed. Now, just like the fill, had this been unchecked, it would have just selected the entire canvas.
Everything. Right.
So with that selected, and I use this type of thing like all the time. So I want the lines, the robot metal lines on his neck to go all the way across. And instead of trying to just guess it by selecting this, whatever I do only happens in that selection.
Okay.
See?
Yes.
So now that line goes perfectly underneath it. Okay. Okay, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, I realize that's actually not right either, but we'll just try it again. Right, whatever. Yes. No hate mail. I'm doing this as a demonstration. So I'm going to go back to my auto select, right?
Yes.
Hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to deselect what I just drew. Now I'm doing this for the metal texture. And now you see that we got these separate things here. This is selected, that area is selected, and that area is selected. So what I do is I just drag it down. So let's zoom in so you can see what I did. So that this is still not into here. I could then just delete that again.
Right.
Right. And I have this this calligraphy brush made. Right. So you can just kind of go.
Oh, wow.
Right. Now, because this calligraphy brush is a flat line and it takes it depends on what the position is of your canvas. So if I rotate it, I make it a thicker line here too. See?
Yep.
You fill that in, come up to here. And then when I turn off that, let me see. When you have a selection made, and I know you're thinking this, when you're in Photoshop, you can hide the selection, right?
Right.
I don't, in this current version, I'm only one version out. I have to update. I haven't done it yet because I'm thinking about moving everything to my laptop, and I don't want to update and then update again. So I'm kind of in the middle. But you can't hide your selection.
Okay.
But when you're done, you can either do Control D, which will deselect it, or just hit right here. And then now that looks like kind of a shiny, metally thing on his neck.
Which basically, when you move the selection down, it of course left the white line evenly on all three selections.
Right.
You didn't have to come back through and use the eraser or the tool and clean those back up.
Right.
Yeah, that added a shine to it.
Like you used to do. You used to just go through the lines and then go back with a brush or a white gel pen, and then go over it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
cool.
That's a secret little thing. And using your selection tool for stuff, like right here, I selected this part of his face, right? And you can see that the selection is color margin. It's at 0, which means it'll only select that one color, which is confusing to me because there's plenty of room for that selection to continue in here. But for some reason it didn't. That's a programmer computer person question. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But you can just, Now the reason why I select this is, if you're going to be doing you don't want to draw past into here when you're doing the mouth,
right?
Or the mustache. With this selected, everything you draw, like down here, will only be in there.
Right.
Now, what I've noticed is sometimes when you're zooming in and out, when you've done a selection like this, sometimes there's like a thin white line between what you've selected and the thing you've done. And I think it might just be a glitch in what we're looking at, and I've never seen it printed.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But
yes,
just because I'm really worried about that, whenever I make a selection that I'm trying to stop something from going into an area,
Right.
I take this right here, which is expanded. You can expand your selection, or you can shrink your selection.
Right.
Click that. That's at 15. That's huge. I'm going to do 1 pixel.
Right.
Okay, so. Oh, no, it's going to draw. Uh-oh. Oh, it's just saving right now.
You know, Photoshop sometimes does that little thin line around things, but it really never shows up when you print it.
Right, but
also,
I keep thinking it does.
That.
So I just added that 1 pixel. So everything I draw will go onto that.
Right.
So I don't need to. That's just the thing that I do. Just keep in mind that if you do that expansion and you do something in here and you don't like it and you hit delete, you've now deleted your lines that on the you've deleted that pixel in on all sides. Just keep that in mind. So let's go back to the brush, and with that selected, you can get some nice lines here for the mouth and not worry about, because if you want a nice line and you don't want to go past, you'd have to go and slow down, and then your line might wiggle. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
You can just draw right to it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's just makes things so much. Basically, did you ever use Frisket, Bob? I'm sure you have, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes. I did some airbrushing and splatter effects using
outer space. You draw the stars. Right.
Yeah.
This is my version of that. I'm masking this off, but I don't even have to worry about it.
Yep. That's nice.
Now, this line is super thick, so I probably didn't really need the selection, but it was a really good opportunity just to show it.
Sure. No, I like it.
I'm at 12. I do this a lot too. I'll start drawing on something. I'll start inking, and I've got like this much done, and then I check my brush size, and then I check the layer that I'm on. I have a video coming out, I think, in a couple of weeks where I'm inking, and you see that I have to I actually take what I've inked, copied it because I put it on the wrong layer, and then put it back onto the ink layer and deleted off the one that I was inking. So I think the tongue would be right there, but let's see, he has it in shadow, and he had the teeth coming outside the lips. So, and I think he was just trying to fill that in.
Right.
So I will do that. But what I like to do then is show, and this is where this will come in handy. If I didn't have that selection, that would have just, went
right across.
I would have had to been a bit more. Let me see here. Here's the center of his lip. I don't know what that's called. That's called something, isn't it? That little part of the lip, and then is Ming the Merciless goatee.
I like it.
I'm going to keep that kind of dark on that side. Right there, I just held the shift and the space and double clicked, and I got back to my normal position with the rotating. And you'll see that I go back and forth between a pull or a flick.
Yeah.
I do that because sometimes it's easier to get the feathering that I'm looking for by this or that. It just depends. Now, I just noticed that this selection's not going to work anymore. I got to turn it off because his beard goes underneath his chin.
Oh.
So Control D undoes the selection.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It doesn't undo it. It deletes it. Turns off. See, he's got that down here. I got my brush way too small because I thought I was hitting the rotating key, but I was actually hitting the brackets. That's the stuff that everybody runs into.
Oh yeah.
They're pushing the wrong key. They're on the wrong layer. Just important that you figure it out. What did he do down here? Let me back out a bit. don't know what this is, so I'm just gonna. I think that goatee hangs down a bit, so I'm just gonna try to get some. Now you're looking at this thinking, dear God, that looks horrible. It's all pixelated and it's all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe, like I said last time, if someone else knows differently, please let me know, that what we're looking at is a low-res version of what the page really is.
Right.
You know?
If not, the program would have to, it'd be so much more to render it every time you twisted and turned and rotated. You know, the rendering would be crazy.
I'm going to use a new tool that I don't know if it's a manga type tool. It's called the Turnip Pen. And this, I haven't adjusted this brush at all. Because when I found it in Clip Studio, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I will use this all the time. And I use this, well, you'll see what it does. This is its normal settings factory.
Oh, cool.
Right. So.
That is so cool.
Right. Now.
Wow.
I could have done that easily with my brush.
Yep.
Why? When the Turnip Pen does it like that. But I don't use that. I don't use that for everything all the time. As you can see, I didn't use that until now, and look how much I've inked.
Oh, I know.
It's not.
Yeah, that looks cool.
It's not to me a shortcut. To me, it's
oh no.
It's a tool. So
yes, it's a tool.
Right. So there we go. We got Half Man. I just noticed he has no upper lip.
Half Man. Oh no. Half Man lost his lip.
Yeah. I need to back out to take a look at it to see how that looks. How does that look?
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. And there's no shading in here. Good. All right, so
wow.
Yeah, that's
not too often do you get the ink a face and show so many different textures and line widths and everything. But Half Man came through for us. Yes.
I was, you know what, as I was going through this, I thought, oh my God, I can do this, I can do this, I can show this. So I think we got lucky. How about one more little thing, or should we stop it?
No. Let's wrap up Half Man. Yes.
Well, not all of them, but we missed the rivets. No, right. Oh my God, the rivets.
No.
Oh, there's 2 ways to do this, 3 ways to do this, 10 ways to do this.
Okay.
I have, you see, I have the felt tip, which I don't really think I've changed a whole lot as far as their settings, because it's a really good tool. This is just basically a pen. You know, oop, that is way too thin. I have it at 1. Right at 4. Yeah. So you can just do this.
Right.
You know, kind of thick, but yeah. Or you can do it the excessively complex Chris Dreier way.
The Chris Dreier way. That's what we're here for.
Coins. I actually have two brushes made called rivets.
Okay. Wow.
Boom. Boom.
Holy smokes.
Right.
And the cool thing about that is
it has a shadow on it.
As a person who would like make something like that, your rivets would be evenly spaced out like that.
Right.
That is too cool.
So, you know, that one I think is a little too close. I'll get rid of that.
Okay.
This is nice.
Right.
And you know, let's say those rivets aren't spaced out enough. So it's just back into this wrench. And then I think it's where is that? Stroke. You can change the gap.
Right. Oh yeah.
And I can then see that might be better.
Okay.
You know, just so you know, undoes what you did here. It doesn't do anything in the tools. Once you've made the change in the tools, it's there.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
That's cool.
And because this program is so awesome, you can also do it. You can add those kind of things to these tools. Atum, my main character, has those. I forgot. It's a slightly traditional, like ancient Egyptian, like tunic on the bottom, and I created a pattern for that. So that's his pattern.
Oh.
Right. So, and I have it.
Oh, yeah.
I have it with a taper, because if his clothing is going around his body, if I put that taper at 100 and I've got an area blocked off, you know.
Wow.
Kind of goes around. That's a little too much there, but yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, really cool. But you know what? That's all the extra bells and whistles, because that's the kind of stuff I didn't really discover until months and months and almost a year after I started using this program. I was just so enthralled with how intuitive Clip Studio is. And
right.
I'll turn off that so you can see. Again, don't yell at me. I know this is not right down in here. But yeah, so there we go. I ran through some inking with Half Man.
Half Man.
And we got all sorts of cool stuff on there.
Yes. Done. Hey, I think this has been great. You've shown different tools. You've shown different flesh and metal and cloth. Right. I mean, all within this one panel, this one shot. So a lot to decipher, a lot to go through. Go back through, check it out.
Ask questions.
Comment. Ask questions, which is a good thing for us.
Because I will answer as best I can, or send you somewhere who does know. I don't know all the answers. The only difference between me and you, Bob, is I've used this longer. That's it.
Oh, you've used it a lot longer. I'm just playing with it. I'm setting it up. I was the newbie. I'm the newbie. I'm just figuring it out. All right. Well, let's zoom back out and boom. Hey, we're back.
We're back.
So we're back. So that was part 2 of the Clip Studio Paint demo. Chris, we'll discuss to see if there's a part 3 or not. See what else we can share and show them.
Well, on that same page right over, there's a giant stone giant. So we didn't ink stone.
Plus you got the tunnel, the main star of the book.
It's just a giant doorway.
Giant doorway. So you did say that people could ask us questions. So up above, I will put the sketch at nostalgicnetwork.com email. I will share those with Chris, and we will answer any questions that we get. All right. And we got Sketch Magazine coming out May 3rd as a Kickstarter. So please go out and check that out. We're about ready to go. I think I might be waiting for one article from somebody. But it will be in this issue. I promise. I'm actually going to be building and working on this issue as the Kickstarter goes along, so I can show some of the progress. But most of the articles are in. We got some cool stuff to offer. Let's see. We talked about this. Oh, subscribe to the channel, please.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes. You subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get notices on, the next one we put out. It helps us keep this growing. Helps the Nostalgic Network grow. Bunch of good guys. So subscribe. And we also have our own channels.
That's right.
So if you enjoy anything you see here, check out below. I'll have Chris's channel with a link, and my channel will be there as a link. And please go and subscribe.
Yes.
And see what we got going on.
Yep. Mine's all Clip Studio Paint, inking, speed art.
Speed art.
Yep. Just watch it happen and then leave a comment and say, hey, that was too fast. What did you do?
Yeah, slow that down. And if you see something you want a question, so go make them work for it. Make them work for it. Yeah.
Otherwise, I sit around and I think of ways to get into trouble. You don't want to have that on your conscience.
No. Hey, give me that article before you get in trouble.
Oh yeah. Well, if I get in trouble, I might have a whole lot of time to write.
Well, that's true. Yes. All right. Well, we'll be back. Who knows what we'll talk about, but I'm sure we'll talk about something. All right. Take care. Take care, Chris.
See you, Bob.